What's good, everyone? Welcome to the King McClure Show. Another episode 11 to be specific. I'm your host, King McClure, and today we got a pretty interesting episode. We're talking about Kansas. We're talking about Bediako. We're talking about the ACC. We're talking about Amari Bailey. All of these things in 25 minutes. My man, Hank, first off, how you doing?
I'm good, King. It's been a minute, but I'm doing well. I'm up in Connecticut at the moment. A lovely state of Connecticut, having a blast. Yeah.
My man Hank, for those who do not know, he is working on the Olympics. He is working on the Olympics right now. So shout out to Hank for doing big time things.
Yeah, dude. They got me testing out all of those like aerodynamic suits for the speed skaters. They got me. I'm in the unitard. They drive me in the wind tunnel, measure my resistance.
Wait, really?
No, not at all. I'm just covering it. But I am covering speed skating. I'm doing speed skating and short track, so y'all make sure you check that out.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, wow, that's actually pretty dope. But never mind. All right, cool. All right. Nonetheless, we got a new format for you. All right, 25 minutes, 5 minutes per topic, almost PTI style. But for those who haven't been here in a little minute, you put up a 5-minute timer. We talk about a topic. We get to rolling. We get to rocking, and that's what it is, all right? Hank, are we ready?
I'm ready to go, King. How about you?
I'm ready to rock. What we got first?
All right. First up, we got, this is something you said to me in our conversations. This is where all of our best topics come from, so I'm excited to talk about this. You told me that Bill Self is coaching his very best basketball right now. I'm hitting go. You tell me why that is.
All right, let's rock. All right, Bill Self, the legend, the Hall of Famer. One of the greatest coaches that we have ever seen in our game is, in my opinion, doing his best coaching job right now. Because if you look at it, he has one of the hottest teams in the country, but he's dealing with a scenario that is unlike almost anything that we have seen ever. And Darren Peterson, we know he's great. We know he's phenomenal, but Darren Peterson is so in and out of the lineup that it makes it tough to really be able to build that camaraderie and the chemistry. But nonetheless, Bill Self is finding a way in which no matter if Darren Peterson's playing, no matter if Darren Peterson isn't playing, he's finding a way to actually win games and kind of sort of coaching two different teams. Because, Hank, it's not like Darren Peterson is just a guy that you insert into the lineup. He plays spot minutes and all of a sudden, like, he can sometimes make an impact, sometimes not. Darren Peterson is a dude in which every single time he steps on the floor, his presence is felt because he's the best player on the floor. So you're literally coaching two different teams. Like you're coaching a team who has an NBA guy who can make shots from whenever, who you can always get a bucket with, versus a team that's just scrappy and a dog where you're led by Melvin Council and Badunga and Marco Jackson and those guys. So the ability to be able to decipher no matter what goes on, no matter if Darren Peterson's in the lineup or if he's not, Bill Self is the GOAT for this. Like Bill Self, the win against Arizona, Bill Self is just figuring it out. That's what great coaches do, especially when you look at a Kansas team that earlier on in the season, people said that Bill Self missed in the portal once again. Last year, they had a down year. This year, people were saying that they missed again. However, Bill Self figured it out, and that's what great coaches do. Great coaches are able to adapt. We went from, well, not we, but people went from saying, I heard chatter of saying, like, maybe Bill Self's time has passed because he hasn't hit in the portal once again for the second year in a row. No, that's far from true. Because he's figuring it out, and now this Kansas team is literally putting themselves in position to make a deep tournament run and possibly go, I don't know, I think they're Final Four bound if Darren Peterson is playing.
Interesting. So I like that caveat at the end. I think we got to dive in there a little bit. As good as this team has been with their star player in and out of the lineup, you still think they need Peterson healthy to have any close to that, any chance of that Final Four ceiling? For a
Final Four run, potential title, yes. Now, I think this team is good enough without Dan Peterson to go to the Sweet 16 for sure. Possibly the Elite Eight, depending on your matchup, if you get lucky or not. But I don't think that when you talk about scoring, like here's what Dan Peterson brings to the table. He's such a dynamic scorer that in moments when you need it the most, in the biggest stages, Darren Peterson rises to the occasion. He's going to step up and be able to give you a consistent 20 points per game throughout the tournament. Or like if the game, like in the Texas Tech game, when the moment is the biggest at the end of the game, you got a guy like Darren Peterson who is your closer. And he's going to close those games out more times than not. And in the NCAA tournament, Darren Peterson could be absolutely special. That's the one thing that Kansas does not have when Darren Peterson isn't playing. They're a great team, but they just don't have a closer like Peterson in those clutch moments.
So when we talked about this Kansas team at the beginning of the season, you told me it looked like it was like Peterson and just a bunch of guys, and you made this point, which is just like they're going to need to figure out how to generate offense when he's off the floor. Now, we didn't know at the time how hurt Peterson would be, so we didn't know how good of a prediction that would be. But what are you seeing right now? Who are the guys that are stepping up and like driving that offensive creation for the team when Peterson's on the bench?
Well, number 1 and 2, or 1A and 1A and 1B would be Melvin Council and Badunga. I mean, Melvin Council feels like that Kansas is his team. And when it's sad because when Darren Peterson comes back, he has to play second fiddle. He has to be the Robin to the Batman. But when Darren Peterson's not out there, Council is literally that dude. He's the dude taking over. You saw how well he played against Arizona, but Dunga has turned himself into a legitimate NBA prospect. I mean, his ability to be able to block shots, he's top 5 in NCAA in blocks per game. He can sit down and switch 1 through 5 and stay on guards. We saw what he did against Braden Burries towards the end of the game when it mattered the most in crunch time. I mean, those two guys right there have taken their games to a different level. And both of them were good last year, but they're a different beast this year. And also, we got to give love to our Marco Jackson. Trey White has been good too, but we got to give love to our Marco Jackson, a guy that everybody wrote off, including myself. We wrote him off last year, but he has shown that he can step up and he has played up to the expectation that we really thought that he could be coming into Kansas. So those are the guys that have actually stepped up. And Bill Self, once again, I cannot give him his flowers enough for the job that he is doing with this current Kansas team, right? 5 minutes is up. 5 minutes is up. We almost did it. We were like 5:0, like 5:15. But it's cool, though. It's close enough, all right? What we got next?
These are loose guidelines, man. PTI never sticks to them either. You know what? What's up? We got to move on to the next topic, which we're going to spend some time on Arizona, who's the team that took their first loss of the season to Kansas just a couple weeks ago, which is a bummer because we're not going to get to talk about Darren Peterson's new slander nickname. The kids are calling him BNP, and every once in a while, the kids cook something up. Every once in a while, dude, that is good. That is good shit. But okay, let's keep it moving. Okay. I just mentioned it. Arizona took their first loss of the season to this Kansas team. It was at Allen Fieldhouse. Now, a lot of people looked ahead at this Arizona schedule. Okay. They said, look, yes, it's not that they haven't beaten tough teams, all right? They took down Auburn and Alabama. They beat UConn. Okay, like they have played good teams and they have won them. They've shown their mettle. They've earned their resume this year. But looking at their schedule, at what they had coming up, they've just played Kansas on Monday. Mm-hmm. On Saturday, they've got Texas Tech. Then next Wednesday, they're going to BYU. Then they've got Houston. Then I'm going to say it, and you can be upset with me, but that doesn't make it any less true. They've got a little bye week at Baylor, versus Baylor, and then they got Iowa State coming to town. So it is a gauntlet. It is a gauntlet of ranked teams coming up for Arizona. I was expecting them to get maybe 2 or 3 games into that stretch, hopefully, until they sacrifice their unbeaten record. But they didn't make it out of the fog. So I'm gonna hit go. You tell me, is Arizona slipping? Is this something we need to be worried about?
Not at all, Hank. Honestly, this was the best thing that could have happened to them. Like that loss was a great loss. An incredible loss. They needed this loss. You have to, like nobody in college basketball is going to go perfect. This isn't football, right? Where you play 18 games, you can be Indiana and have a perfect season. This isn't that. You're going to play almost, if you make it all the way, you're going to play almost like anywhere between 35 to 40 games. There's no team in college basketball that's going to go undefeated. That's just not realistic, not on the men's side, right? So for me, when you talk to Tommy Lloyd, when I talked to him, I did the Oklahoma State-Arizona game last weekend. His whole thing is, I mean, we know we're not going to go perfect. That's not the goal. Perfection is not the goal. A championship is the goal. To get better every single day is the goal. And I'm going to be honest with you, Allen Fieldhouse is arguably, and I guess arguably, Allen Fieldhouse is the hardest place in college basketball to play. And when we talk about how loud it was in there, bro, that's an every game thing. That atmosphere is ridiculous. Hank, I'll give you a quick story. My first time ever playing in Allen was my first conference game, right? My first conference game. I used to always come in like the 16, 17 minute mark, right? It was like clockwork my freshman year. 16, 17 minute mark, right before the media. So I came in. Mind you, the starters get out there and bro, we are down by like 16. And this is Wayne Selden. This is, I want to say Perry Ellis. This is Frank Mason, Devontae Graham. This was a stacked team. This team was legit. And all of a sudden, bro, we are down by 16. Like early on, they're hitting shots. They get an alley-oop that made it made that place erupt. Coach throws me in the game like, all right, let's see if we can get something from our bench. Bro, I go into the game, I kid you not, Hank. I cannot hear myself think. Literally I can't hear a thing in there. I play for like 20 seconds. I tell coach, sub me out. Sub me out. I don't want any parts of. I'm not ready for this. This is unreal. I'm not ready for this, coach. That's my first Big 12 game ever. Sub me out. Like give somebody else an opportunity because I don't want this opportunity right now. Like I'm not built for that.
To you when you put your hand up and you say, "Coach, tap me out," is he like, "Yeah, okay, whatever"? McClure, you're on the bench.
I mean, they pulled me out. He pulled me out, and there's nothing else he can do. I don't want to play right now.
Get any tough love for that after the game, or water under the bridge? How do you treat it?
I mean, it was honestly just water under the bridge because I mean, in that moment, like we were down by so much. So we were down by like 16 or 18 early on, like in the first 3-4 minutes of the game, to where it was literally like there was nobody was doing anything right. So like it was just such a bad loss or a bad game for us that nobody did anything right. So like that right there to me was, I mean, it really wasn't that bad of it, wasn't a big of a deal. Like if it was one thing, if we made a comeback or something and we probably could have won, but like we were done from the jump. He was so upset. Coach Drew was so upset. But yeah, like that just goes to show how loud it is in that building. Like the whole week before we play at Kansas, we do not talk in practice. We only do hand signals. Like we only practice hand signals. Like when we play calls, like we're doing this. Like we're only practicing hand signals because you can't hear yourself think. You literally cannot hear yourself. It's the best atmosphere in college basketball. They arguably have one of the best fan bases. That place is insane. So that's not a bad loss. Because when you go to Kansas, not only are you playing against Kansas, the team, because Kansas, the team, is already hard enough, you're playing against the fans and how loud it is and the atmosphere. So that right there, if I'm Arizona, if I'm Arizona fans, I'm not panicking about this loss. I am not tripping about this loss. It is what it is, right? It's fine. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. It is what it is. I think that was the greatest thing for them. You need to understand how to lose so that you don't get complacent and so that you can continue to grow and work on your craft and stay hungry because you don't want to feel that feeling again. They're still the best team in the country. Let's not get it twisted. They are still the best team in the country.
All right, so real quick, what should Arizona learn from that game? It was a 4-point loss in a hostile environment. What can they take away that can use to arm themselves against that as they continue to go through this tough schedule?
I mean, at the end of the day, anybody can beat you. So you have to continue to stay locked in. Anybody can beat you. But I also have to point out, right, it was a close game. I want to say it was a 4-point game. One of the biggest plays that nobody talks about, right? I know we're coming up on our time. One of the biggest plays that nobody talks about, and this just goes to show you how Allen Fieldhouse has an impact on the game. Floyd Badunga jumps up in the air, puts the ball on the ground, picks it up, and dunks it. That's a travel all day, every day. And in games where it can be a one-possession game, those type of plays matter. And it came back towards the end when it should have been tied. Now they were down, but Arizona was down by 2. Like, plays like that matter in one-possession games. Referees cannot miss that call, but too many times, whistles get swallowed in Allen. That's all I'm going to say. Whistles get swallowed in Allen.
Refs are human. They get caught up in the moment as well. There's a great quote I saw this week from it was Andrew Bogut when he was on the Warriors, talking about the screens he would be able to get away with when Clay or Steph was on a heater. He's like, they hit their 4-3 of the quarter, and he's just clotheslining guys just because the refs just watching the ball go in. Like, no way he did it again.
Referees are human. We have to give these guys more leniency and more grace. But in Allen Fieldhouse, whistles get swallowed. All right, we got to take a break real quick. When we come back, we have some more great topics for you. Right, all that when we come right back. And we are back. All right, Hank. You got some ACC topics for me. Hank is going to throw out 3 topics. I'm going to choose which one I want to talk about because I don't want to talk about the ACC all day. So I'm only going to choose one that I want to talk about, and Hank is going to give me 3. So let's talk. Let's see what you got for me.
All right, so I got 3 picks for you here. I think they're all good ones. I'm bummed we're going to have to leave 2 of these behind, but I am also very curious what you're going to pick. The first, we got Duke losing to UNC, and then Duke assistant coaches getting punched in the face by UNC students during the court storm. The second one is we got this Caleb Wilson injury, probably the best basketball story here. He's been one of the best players of the year for UNC. He went down with a left hand fracture. I got to know what that means for the Tar Heel season. And then the last one, Mikael Brown Jr. If you only know him from this podcast, you're probably not a fan of his. He scored 45 points against NC State on the strength of 10 threes. I think it's the saying is like the shots got to fall eventually. And for Mikael Brown, they all fell. They all fell last week. So, King, what are we talking about? Mikael? Are we talking about Caleb? Are we talking about Duke?
Let's talk about Caleb Wilson because I love me some Caleb Wilson.
This is the savvy basketball commentator pick right here. This is the I've been watching ball and I want y'all to know it. And we're not doing Hank's Twitter theories about the Duke UNC fight.
No, yeah.
Take it away, boss.
I love me some Caleb Wilson. I think that there's a conversation to be had. When we talk about the top 3 picks, I don't necessarily think that the top 3 picks are secure or the top 3 picks are guaranteed.
King, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you.
I think that there's a conversation in which Caleb Wilson's name, especially after the Duke UNC game, when he went toe for toe with Cam Boozer, toe for toe, they both had very similar stats. And he showed that he on the stage in the matchup, he showed he's just as good, just as effective. And truth be told, I mean, the Duke team is way better than North Carolina. So Caleb Wilson had to perform, especially in the first half, in order to even keep North Carolina in the ball game. So to me, there's a conversation that needs to be had about Caleb Wilson being a guy that is in the top 3 or potentially in the top 3. So I don't think we should count him out or rule him out at all. Now, what this means for North Carolina in this injury is that they're going to have to find ways to be able to win games. Now, the good thing is the ACC isn't the strongest league. However, North Carolina, even with Caleb Wilson, has been a little up and down. I mean, they lost to Miami. They had a loss earlier on in the season in ACC play to, oh my goodness, I am blanking. I can't remember it, but it's all good. But like they've been kind of up and down at times. They've been good when it matters, but then they've also shown flashes where they can just drop a ball game really quickly. So they're going to have to find ways. Hubert Davis is going to have to find ways to manufacture wins while Caleb Wilson is out. But the good thing is, Caleb Wilson said that, or we saw it on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that it's not over with yet. Like, he's not done with the season. He's still going to try to come back. And that mentality right there is a dog mentality. My man has a fractured wrist, right? And
King,
he wants to come back.
He hurt his hand in the first half of the game against Miami, and he came back in and played the rest of the second half.
Bro,
and they only found out it was fractured afterwards.
Bro, and here... Ooh, I don't want to make this comparison. I don't want to say. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it.
If it's the one I'm thinking about, we might as well just say it.
I'm not going to do it. But however, all I'm going to say is, peep how he handles his injury. Peep how he is not afraid of his draft stock and wants to be a dog and just go out there and play. Now, I can't say that for everybody that's in this draft class, but peep how Caleb Wilson's mentality is, I'm a dog. I want to be out there and I want to play. Like, to me, that goes a long way. That goes a extremely long way. So, I think that North Carolina will be okay at the end of the day. I think they'll be fine. I think they might drop a few without Caleb Wilson, but that's okay. It's not going to put them out of contention for the ACC. I think they'll still be amongst the top. I still think that when he gets back, they'll be able to win some games in the tournament. I just think that right now it's time for the guys behind him, or the guys who might not get as much love, to be able to step up in these moments.
Look, Caleb Wilson, 6'10", 7'4" wingspan. He's got a 9-foot standing reach. All right. Mm-hmm. He has the build, the makeup of an elite NBA wing, and his offensive game, I don't think you can question. He's setting all sorts of scoring records for UNC freshmen. He leads their team with nearly 20 points per game, and we round up on this show, so he's at 20 points per game. He also he's scored in double figures for all 24 games to begin his career. He's got 17 20-point games in that time. That is the best. Like, we've talked about it before. He might already be the best UNC freshman ever. Like, this is just a talented offensive player. And he's shown, like in this matchup with Cam Boozer, like in games earlier this season against Kentucky is one, Kansas is one. Like, when he wants to be locked in, when he is dialed on the defensive end, he can be a terror down there as well. So, like, truly a force, and I also think maybe a little bit more of a skeleton key than a guy like Cam Boozer, of someone that NBA coaches can look at and project a player that fits their system and their mold. Like someone that they think they can bring into their building, develop them the way they want to be developed, and can turn into someone that can take a team to the next level.
His ceiling is higher than Cam Boozer's. Like, Cam Boozer is a safe pick to play 10 to 15 years in the league, be an all-star, just be a really, really good player in the NBA. But when you talk about a guy like Caleb Wilson, his ceiling is superstar. Like, you can build a whole team around, and he can carry you to the NBA Finals because of his motor, his defensive intangibles, and what he can be on the offensive side. Like, Cam Boozer's not a guy that you build around, but he's a guy that could be like your second or third option, and just be very, very solid. Like, just very, very good in the NBA, make a lot of money. But Caleb Wilson has superstar written all over him.
I think the last thing I'll say here is that the Pacers made this trade for Zubac, not to spend too long on the NBA, and they did something weird with their pick protection in that trade, where they traded away their pick for this year, which for a team that's very bad like the Pacers are, it's rare that they trade that away, but they protected their pick, top 4 protection, and they protected it outside of the line, from 10 to the end of the draft. So basically, they only give it away if it lands from pick 5 to pick 9. Apparently, the Clippers wanted that pick top 3 protected, but the Pacers said, no, we believe there's 4 guys at the top of this draft that we think are worth getting. And I think it's pretty obvious that Caleb Wilson's that 4th guy. So that already is starting to tell you how NBA teams are looking at this.
For sure.
Anything else on this on Caleb Wilson on this injury?
Nah, man, he's an absolute dog. There'll probably be more conversations as we progress with the show. There'll be more conversations about Caleb Wilson. So just be prepared. He's somebody we'll talk about a lot.
And I gotta say, King, with your connections, with the way that players are open up to you when you talk about them, and also the way that you see the court, I'm very excited as we get into draft coverage to see kind of how you choose to cover this time and how you choose to interact with the players. Hopefully we'll be able to bring some of them on here, sit them down in my seat, and have some much smarter conversations with some of these guys on the show as we get closer to draft time. Speaking of smarter conversations, this is one where I'm going to need you to put on this Professor King cap real quick and tell me what's going on. Because the last topic we got here, unfortunately, for those who are sick of the story, we got to check back in on this Charles Bediako, and now there's a new name, Amari Bailey, that we got to talk about here. So do you want to start with Bediako or Bailey here? And tell me
I think they tie into each other. So let's start with Bediako, because Bediako was granted. He came back from the G League. We already know the story. He came back from the G League, had 2 temporary restraining orders. The second one basically was because the judge couldn't get to the courthouse, so they allowed him to play for 2 weeks, which was 5 games. And he finally had a hearing, and he was ruled ineligible, and he can't play. So he got to play 5 games, in those 5 games they went 3-2. And now he's not able to play anymore. All right. Which is weird, which is crazy, which is like dumb. Okay, whatever. But here's where it gets interesting, because now you have a guy like Amari Bailey who says, I want to come back to college. And the whole thing with Bediako is you can't come back to college when, number one, you forwent.
We do this every week.
We do this all the time, and I need to hit ChatGPT and ask. But yeah, they forego their eligibility. So when you give up your eligibility, then there's nothing you can do. And when you sign a 2-way contract, it's wraps. Like it's over with for you. Which do I agree with? I think there needs to be some type of change to that because I don't think it's fair for, G League guys, not G League guys, but overseas guys to be pros and to play and sign pro contracts over there and then be able to come to America and play. But yet we got dudes who sign pro contracts over here and they can't play. I just don't think that's fair. Like I think there has to be some type of fix to that because that's not fair. But the thing is, he gave up his eligibility in order to go professional. So that's where it comes into account. So same thing with Amari Bailey, which Amari Bailey is going to lose this case. There's no way in the world, after you see what happened to Bediako, that Amari Bailey thinks that he is going to be able to go to a courthouse and be able to overturn what happened with Bediako and to be able to get his eligibility.
An important distinction here is Amari Bailey played 10 NBA games this season, versus Bediako spent time overseas, and other players have spent time in the G League and thought about going back.
You're right. Amari Bailey has actually played games in the NBA.
Yeah, and
like Bediako hasn't. So there's no way in the world the NCAA is going to allow this. So this is crazy, but I think what has to happen, right? This is what's going to have to happen. Amari Bailey is going to have to go choose a school. And when he chooses a school, right now you're hearing rumors of Grand Canyon, which...
He's on a visit there.
Grand Canyon makes sense because it's a basketball school. And, out of anybody, they'll be the ones to try to fight this for sure. But he needs to choose a school. And once he chooses a school, then they're going to have to fight for his eligibility. So I personally don't love this just because I think it opens the floodgates. Because I think that if a guy like Amari Bailey comes back to school, now you're going to literally open Pandora's box and you have no idea what's going to come from that. You have no idea what's going to happen after that. Because now all of a sudden there are going to be some names that probably get thrown out there as far as trying to come back to school that we're going to be like, whoa. Oh, goodness. And if Amari Bailey comes back to college, he's going to destroy college basketball.
So this is, I actually wanted to ask you about this very badly. We've had this conversation before, not on this show, but in private, about what would the worst player in the NBA do to a college team's tournament chances. Amari Bailey, it's very easy to make the argument that he was the worst player in the NBA this year in the limited minutes he played for the Timberwolves. So is he alone good enough to turn Grand Canyon into an actual contender? Or how high could he elevate?
Yeah, well, we got to take into consideration that Grand Canyon is a team in the past 2-3 years that have made it to the tournament, have been able to get upsets, and have been able to win games. So I think a guy like Amari Bailey takes you from being able to pull off upsets to actually being able to win maybe multiple games. I'm not saying they're a national championship team with a guy like Amari Bailey because I don't think that's true at all. But I do think they go from winning the first round game to now possibly winning the second round game and getting you to a Sweet 16. I do think a guy of his caliber, just because it's IQ. You've been around pros, you've been around NBA guys, you understand basketball at a deeper level. So I think that alone makes you become a guy now all of a sudden that can do things on the floor that a lot of college guys have not been taught or exposed to. So I think you can manipulate defenses. You can get buckets. You can get your teammates involved in ways in which a lot of guys just don't do in college. So I do think that Amari Bailey is a guy that if he does go play at Grand Canyon, let's just say hypothetically they allow him to play, which I don't think will happen, but let's just say hypothetically they do. I do think he's a guy that could end up being getting Grand Canyon to the Sweet 16. Grand Canyon's already shown without him that they can win first round ups. They can pull off first round upsets. So I think they can make it to the Sweet 16 and make that game competitive because Grand Canyon has dudes. And the other thing we got to take into consideration is that when Amari Bailey says he's going to come, and when Amari Bailey, if he gets approved, now all of a sudden, imagine the dudes that are going to want to come play with Amari Bailey. Like the bigs who are going to want to go set screens for him and roll because, Amari Bailey is good enough to be able to hit the pocket or make you look good because of his pro experience. That's the next factor is like if they allow him to play, now let's look at the dudes that Grand Canyon are going to be able to get as a result of you having a dude like Amari Bailey on your team. It's going to make a major difference, all right? So, I don't know. I'm not here for all of this. This is just continuing to get out of control and continuing to ensue with the chaos. And I just think we need some type of regulation, some type of governing body, and we need to just figure this out as a basketball community because this is tragic. This is horrible.
Yeah, no shade to the Lopes. I don't know how many judges are getting their degrees from Grand Canyon, so hopefully we don't have any Bediako situation going on here. But I agree. I don't think this can happen. I think this would probably be the final straw for the NCAA if he does end up playing on the court this season.
Yes.
You say we need someone to fix this. I'm gonna start the campaign right now. King for commissioner.
Let's
get you in the seat. Come on, you got all the answers for me. You know what to do.
Don't do that. I'm not the guy. Now, what I will say is, if we ever get to a CBA, I'll happily be the president of the CBA to represent the players for sure. I'll happily speak on behalf of the players. But for right now, no.
If that happens, do you think you get good tickets? You can kick over to your boy Hank, or is that maybe
sure,
maybe not?
I might be able to hook you up with a few tickets right now, my man.
Yeah, but then I gotta go to Waco, man. I don't know what I'm doing in Waco.
Not just Waco. I got a few plugs in a few different area codes.
Let's end the show and let's keep talking. All right.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, rate. Whatever you want to do, we're greatly appreciated. Road to 3K, and we wouldn't be here without you. Until next time, me and Hank are out.